All right, y'all. So we got The Game, the documentary 3. We're going to go ahead and give this project an 8.5 out of 10, and I'm gonna tell you why. All right, so for comparisons, I don't have any comparisons, oddly enough. But once we get a little more into the review, you'll understand why I don't. All right, favorite tracks. We got 7 favorite tracks. Out of what, 24? Out of 24 tracks, we got 7 favorites. Number 1, we got Jesus. Numero dos, we got Love It or Hate It. Crazy mashup. Love the mashup. Number 3, we have Geekin. Number 4, we have Do You Love Me? Okay, back to the comparisons. Now, Do You Love Me kind of put me in the comparison of the 50 Cent song, I Know You Don't Love Me. You know, I know you don't love, I don't think that's the name of the song, but I know you don't love me. You ain't the same whenever Banks around. I know you don't love me. You scream and holler whenever Usher's in town. I know you don't love. You used to roll with the unit. You know. Number 5, we have Nothing to Hide. I love how that track was like you versus you. Number 6, we have L.A. Monster. That song sonically impeccable. It's jamming. Number 7, we have Game Recognized Game. Another you versus you type of situation. Love that. All right, now for the positive feedback, very theatrical. You know, it was a lot of like bells and whistles. Like I could tell as it pertains to production, you guys, y'all, you put a lot into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it not just, it was more than just instrumentals. You know what I'm saying? It was like, it was instrumentals, it was samples, it was just bells and whistles, and it was just it was very, 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 very theatrical. Okay, like I said in the favorite tracks, I absolutely love the mashup with Love It or Hate It, because it was a mashup between Hate It or Love It and Do for Love. Love that. That was cool. It sounded good together. It sounded good. The instrumentals were fire. I absolutely love the samples. So I lied. I said I didn't have any comparisons, but as it pertains to like production, I would have to compare this project to Kanye, because I know Kanye is featured on this album like once or twice, but when it comes to instrumentals and samples and the production, like this was very Kanye coded. This project, it was very Kanye coded as it pertains to like samples and stuff. I absolutely love how you expounded on the war with self, on Nothing to Hide, because that's something that we all go through. Like a lot of times it's not you versus me, or it's me versus me. It's me looking at the person in the mirror, or like on Game Recognized Game, it's me looking at the old me trying to outdo the old me, or me looking in the mirror trying to outdo the current me, or you know what I'm saying, just trying to grow and learn from my mistakes. So I thought that was pretty cool. Just a little accountability on your behalf. Yeah, pretty cool. All right, so I absolutely love the vulnerability in the project. I love how you didn't steer clear from your emotions. You leaned into it. A lot of people, especially men, you being such a hardcore tough nigga, you know what I'm saying? You're a tough guy. With you being such a tough guy, your kind typically steer clear from emotions. Like, no, I'm hard. I don't, boys don't cry, thugs, I'm a thug. But no, you lean into that like, dang, man, I got feelings, bro. So I like that. I love the vulnerability. You allowed your emotions to speak. You kind of poured your heart out on a project. And that's commendable because, nowadays, you show emotions, you sassy. So, thank you. And with that being said, I see you getting a lot of flack for, addressing the Kendrick situation. I personally don't see anything wrong with you addressing the K-Dot situation. We'll get into that just a little more in the constructive criticism. But I don't really see anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with you addressing it, right? That's how and where you're supposed to address it. You're supposed to address it in the music. You're supposed to address it in the booth. You're supposed to address it on the track. Nowadays it's so quick for you to pick up your phone and just address it on social media. It's so quick for you to pick up your phone and tweet, and so quick for you to pick up your phone and go live and scream at your phone that, a lot of people forget that creativity, music, it's it's art, you know what I'm saying? And it is indicative of what we go through in real life. So you addressing things that you have been experiencing in real life in your music, like, man, ain't nothing wrong with that. Like, don't let nobody, come on, man, don't let nobody shame you for being vulnerable, because that's really all you was doing, was being vulnerable. But there is also a critique. It's a double-edged sword, and we're gonna get into that in a second. All right, so I loved how this was a full project. This was 24 tracks. Like, you could have really broke this down into two 12-track projects and made this like a deluxe type of situation. Because nowadays these projects ain't nobody dropping no 24 track. Well, Kanye, Chris Brown, yeah, okay, y'all did. But for the most part, folks out here dropping 5, 7. You know what I'm saying? Little EPs and stuff like that. So full project, love that. And let me circle back to you being vulnerable real quick. Why you had told your sister why did you tell your sister business on Meet the Parents? Somebody, you was selling that and she was selling cat. Like, why would you tell her business like that? Like, I'm all for you being vulnerable, but why you had to tell her business? Did that affect you? No, maybe emotionally. It probably, you know what I'm saying, it probably scars you emotionally. But man, don't be out here telling the girl, and go apologize now. So I love how the project started off super, super strong with Jesus, and then it ended super, super strong with Game Recognized Game. And then you just kind of like sandwiched everything else in between. Those two tracks, that was a great opener and a great, great closer. The Jesus and Game Recognized Game. So good job with that. Absolutely love that. Okay, now for the constructive criticism. I didn't like how you was playing with God on Jesus. First of all, the spelling, Geezus. Didn't like that. Then you said, I don't gotta pay for I don't even pay for my sins. Like, what? Yes, you do. We all do. What are you talking about? You Slick was playing with God a lot on this project. You Slick was talking about, all right now, JCon. All right. All right, you were glorifying violence. Did not like that at all. Okay, so the project was inconsistent. And what I mean by that is it wasn't a smooth, you know what I'm saying? It didn't flow. It sounded like just a bunch of singles. It sounded like just a bunch of singles and a bunch of samples, right? It sounded like you kind of been sitting on a whole bunch of music for a good little minute, and you just grab your favorite ones and then throw them on a project, right? It didn't sound like you sat down and you just had a concept and, you know what I'm saying, you executed that concept, because music is like, it's storytelling. And I just really don't feel like the documentary 3, especially if you're gonna name it that, like the documentary, you told a story on that project. So for this to be 3, the documentary 3, like, I just felt it should have been more consistent. You know what I'm saying? It should have been more constructive, I guess you could say. Like I said, it sounded like a bunch of like singles, freestyles, and samples versus a carefully curated project. And then you were switching the flow a lot from 80s rap to 90s rap to the 2000s rap. And it's just like, you know what I'm saying? It just seemed like there was just no real direction on the project outside of just, rapping, I guess. Okay, now, so it was a little confusing as it pertains to like the Kendrick and 50 Cent situation, which is, this goes back to when I told you it's a double-edged sword. Like, it's okay for you to express how you feel as it pertains to certain situations, and the music is a perfect place for you to do that. But also, I kind of see why people were getting on you about it, because it was like in one instance, you were saying it ain't no beef, I ain't got no problem with them. You know what I'm saying? I was staying out the mix or whatever, that's old news. But then in another instance, it's just, you kind of was just like, man, fuck them, and this is what I shoulda, coulda, woulda did to them. And it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's confusing. Which one is it? Like, you know, it just kind of sound like some unresolved issues. It sound like there's a little, it sound like y'all don't really have real beef, but there is some resentment there, you know, because the fact that y'all you're not cool with them no more. You get what I'm trying to say? Okay, so for instance, with Kendrick, you was like, ain't no beef, you know. I support both of them. I was staying out of it. I was neutral. So y'all mad at me because I didn't pick a side. Like, it wasn't sides to pick. It wasn't my fight, you know, which is understandable. Happens a lot. Happens a lot. People jumping in stuff. They don't need to be jumped in. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's one-on-one type of situation. It was one-on-one. One don't need for you to jump in. These are grown men. They holding their own. But then at the same time, you turn around and you low-key throwing shots. Talking about, fuck GNX. Like, what do you mean? Like, that's a fast car, ain't it? And now you talking about that car slow. Like, why would you? It's giving throwing rocks and hiding your hands. And then it's like you kind of did the same with 50 Cent. You kind of referenced the Hate It or Love It track. It sounded like you shouted 50 out, right? And then you turned around on what was it, Game versus Game? Game recognized Game. You turned around after low-key shouted him out, and you was like, yeah, I was about to pull up on that nigga and da-da-da-da-da-da. And then it's like, what? And it's like, I get it on that track specifically. It was you talking to your old self. But at the same time, it's just like, why that? Of all things, you know what I'm saying? Of all things, why that? Like, why? You know, I'm sure a lot has happened to you in your career, and it just kind of seems, it seems like you're not over it. You know what I'm saying? It seems like you're pressed in both situations, right? Because, especially because neither one of them are, you know what I'm saying? They ain't talking about you. So it's like, I see why people was getting on you about it, because it was kind of bipolar a little bit. But at the same time, it's just like, if this how you feel, this how you feel. You know what I'm saying? You could go on a Twitter rant, you know, but you put it in the music. So it's like, you know what I'm saying? Give or take. It's really a lose-lose situation for you. So sorry, but yeah, I don't blame you. All right, now for the last and final critique, I feel like it's time to pivot. I feel like it's time to pivot. JCon, you are, I'm not age shaming. Because I'm 35, but you are at an age now where I feel like the conversation should be different. Your perspective should be different. You shouldn't still be talking about gang banging. You shouldn't still be talking about and glorifying violence. Like, you was talking about violence in this project, like, it turns you on. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I just feel like now you're supposed to be talking about your children, which I think you mentioned them once or twice, but it was in between the gunshots. You know what I'm saying? It was in between the gunshots where I maybe heard you mention your son or mention your daughter. And it's like, you should be talking about how happy you are to be a father. You should be talking about their graduations. You should be talking about financial literacy. You should be talking about the generational wealth that you created for them. You should be talking about your property and land and ownership and investments. And, you know, I just feel like that there is a lack of growth from the documentary to the documentary 3. I just feel like it's kind of loopy. You stuck in a loop a little bit. You still look good and you still rap really, really, really well. I just think it's time for the conversation to change. You know, make that change. But yeah, time to pivot. But other than that, it's pretty cool. It's pretty good. I really, really liked the instrumentals. There was a few tracks that I would definitely have in rotation. Again, 8.5 out of 10. 8.5 out of 10. Don't let nobody stop you from being vulnerable, because the thing about it is, if you don't let it out, you're going to hold it in. And sometimes you hold it in so long that you mess around and you explode. We don't want you exploding on nobody, okay? So, you know, let it out. Vent. Be vulnerable. You know, express your emotions. Don't dwell in it, though. Don't dwell in it. And pivot. Please pivot. Pivot, because you are great at what you do. You are great at music. Just change the topic. That's all. Change the topic. Again, 8.5 out of 10. Good job. Good job.